Wonderful, wonderful. Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Chicago Childcare Society Day of Giving for Youth. I am Dara Munson, and I am honored to serve the City of Chicago as CEO of this wonderful organization. Today, we are thankful for many things, and I would like to start by saying thank you to our corporate partners who are helping us to raise funds for our youth development programs and services that are so critical to our young people, to their development, to their support, to their finding their pathways as they figure out how to realize their dreams. Our corporate partners are very important in fueling these programs. So we want to begin by thanking Deloitte, Fifth Third Bank, and PwC for their support, again, for our youth development program serving Chicago's South Side communities. Our youth mentors are so critically important to our young people in their communities. Our goal is to raise $102,000. We have started that fundraising, and we are very happy to share that we are at about $49,500 raised to date. These funds have been committed and given by our board members, and they will match any gifts that come in today. So your gifts will be doubled if you give today and actually through the end of September. So we ask you to go to cccsociety.org and make your gift online or mail a check to help us get to a fully read thermometer. We are really focused on raising money to support our young people, and just know that your generous donations will help us sustain these high quality, much needed youth development programs, again, that support our teens and older youth to complete their education and their transition to college or career. In this live session, we will talk to our youth development program leaders, people I am just honored to work with, and hear about particular challenges facing our young people today, actually today and also before the pandemic, the multiple pandemics that we are actually walking through. With me this morning are our two of our wonderful leaders, Senior Director of Programs, Heshima Mance, who oversees all of our youth programs, and LaVandis Brown, who is a mentor and coordinator of our program that we call KALU, which means Kings Achieving Leadership and Understanding. Welcome, LaVandis, and welcome, Heshima.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dara, and good morning. Good morning. We are so excited today to share with you the work that we do within the community on the South Side. And later today, we are super excited to hear directly from three of our young people who actually participate in our programs. Be sure to tune in at 3 p.m. to hear from those wonderful youth. But first, we have a short video to introduce our programs and the mentoring team.
Hi, I am Heshima Mance, Senior Director of Programs at Chicago Childcare Society. Within the mentoring program, we have Valerie Moore, who is a program coordinator. She works within our Next Step programming and also our Bridges to Pathway program. We then have Joshua Owens, who works within our Bridges to Pathway program and also our KALU program. We have LaVandis Brown, who is also a program coordinator that works within our KALU program. There are several things that are most rewarding about the work that I do within programming. The first thing is supporting the staff in strengthening their skills and actually bringing programming to life. The next thing is also youth that come back to our programming, and we're able to see that, the things that we gave them stuck and that they are moving forward, they are advancing, and they are being productive.
So I think the most rewarding part of my work it's just working with youth in general, seeing the light come on inside of them, seeing them get a concept and running with it and coming back and saying, oh, I did this, or I learned this, or I showed my family or friends this. And just lightening the spark that's within them, because they all have the skills that they need. It's just about helping them focus on it and be able to pull it up and out. So I think that's the most rewarding part.
The most rewarding thing about my work that I do with youth is seeing them progress. Constantly seeing young people come to me and say, Mr. Owens or Mr. Josh or Coach Josh, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing now. It just puts a warm feeling in my heart to see that I help so many young people move forward in life. From basketball to classroom, I really love seeing my kids go to college, and it makes me feel a little bit older, but I love it because now they're prepared to take on life. And they come back home and I see them with great jobs and they're starting wonderful families. It just really warms my heart.
The most rewarding thing as a mentor is the fact that you have the opportunity to give kids this opportunity to see things and to understand something that they may not be aware of, or they may not have the courage or understanding to ask questions to understand. It's like putting them in an environment, a safe environment, a safe haven place, allowing them to open up and reveal certain things, educate them on certain things that they may or may not be aware of. So I think the most fulfilling part is just touching and engaging with those young guys and seeing them come back with a positive response.
What it means to me is that I'm having a real time impact on the youth in my city, in my community. And they are also having a real life impact on me. I'm building relationships that will hopefully guide them in a positive direction to make better choices.
What it means to me is that there's a future, a bright future ahead. That's what it really means, because we see so much negativity on the world today. And I try to bring forth positivity with the young people, because they are the future. And if we don't teach them the right way, then this world is going to go down a very wrong path. And that's what it means to me.
My work means, this is more of a hybrid type of meaning to me, because I get personal satisfaction by going out there, because once I was one of those individuals that needed to be addressed and had some concerning issues, underlying issues, family matters that used to take place. So I understand from a personal perspective, but from a personal perspective as well, helping them out it means so much to me, because if I can address, if I have 15, 20 students, participants in my class, if I can get through to one, I believe that I have accomplished something, because I have saved that one particular life, and also probably put them in a position that they can do something better and hopefully assist someone else if they come.
When it comes to the work that I do, it represents making a lasting impact. You know, I don't always get to see the seeds actually grow that we plant, but I take pride in the fact that we are instilling great values, morals, and teachings in the young people that we serve. And I know that at some point they will utilize something that they gain within our program.
That was an overview of the work that we do in our youth development programs, and actually hearing from our team members on how their work is so critical and important for our young people. From my experience at Big Brothers Big Sisters in Metropolitan Detroit, and also Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan, I can tell you how fortunate we are to have such a stellar team of youth development staff members and mentors at CCCS. Heshima, my first question is for you. I know that it's been said and proven that people, especially young people, don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we talk a lot about the human connection, right? How important it is to have meaningful and genuine human connections in this work. Can you tell us some more, from your perspective, what are some other important traits or qualities that you think a leader or a mentor should have when working with young people today?
Yes, absolutely, Dara. You know, the first thing I will say is authenticity. You know, our youth are just very transparent. They're very real, and they connect with people who are meeting them on their level and just really being truly authentic with them. Another piece is, you know, offering that consistent support. So many of the youth that we serve, you know, have struggled with having adults to be consistent in their lives and have good follow through and just do what they say that they're going to do. So our mentors coming into their lives show that, okay, this can be a stable figure in my life, someone who is consistently showing up to support me, consistently showing up to encourage me, and also supporting my growth and development and my learning. Those are very key pieces.
Mhm. Thank you. And LaVandis, next question is for you. When you are leading your mentees and your students, what are a few things, building on what Heshima has shared, what are a few things that you always keep in mind when you're connecting with your mentees?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say thanks for allowing me to be part of this panel. I think I would swap out the word leading and change it for directing. One of the things I keep in mind is that the objective is to try to transform the mindset of our students. I don't want them to have a fixed mindset. I want them to have a growth mindset. I want them to focus on a journey that's ahead of them. And that comes with continued practicing, that comes with achieving practical interventions and different things. We want to build up their self-esteem. We want to encourage them and motivate them. So what I keep in the back of my mind is the goal. The goal is to try to connect, to relate, and to make sure that the student body understands effectively and efficiently that there's hope for them out there. So I try to bring a positive message as well as try to develop their creativity thinking and also challenge them to explore other opportunities for themselves.
Thank you. So I'm heard from Heshima, both you and LaVandis, consistency, follow through, stability, being authentic, having a growth mindset, right? Keeping the longer term objective in mind. So to me, what I'm hearing are, these are really life skills that we want all young people to have. And Heshima, you've been doing this work for quite a while. So can you talk a little bit about the changes that you've seen when as you have worked with young people throughout the years, and what are those things that you advise our mentors, right? So we're leaders, we're helping to create leaders in future generations. So what are those core things that you keep in mind, you have kept in mind, and that you keep in mind when you are supporting our leaders and our mentors?
Yeah, so, you know, the first thing that pops out for me right away is listening with compassion. You know, at the end of the day, we are in a helping profession and we are equally still real people performing these positions and these jobs. And so, you know, I think that as a leader, it's very important to listen with a compassionate ear to gain understanding as to one, how to support mentoring staff, but also how to help them to understand how to best support the youth that they're working with. And, you know, I have to bring it out, you know, again, just the idea of leading with authenticity. I think it's just easier to connect with people, period, you know, when they feel that they are connecting with your true self. And I think that within leadership, people respond to that, you know, much better. And lastly, I would say meeting people where they are, you know, clients alike. You know, we have to meet people exactly where they are and start from where they are so that we can move them forward to optimum growth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. This week, we were once again reminded, excuse me, of the harsh realities of inequity, inequality, and racism in our country. We are coping in a world that blatantly reminds us of the value or perceived lack thereof on Black lives. And Heshima, you are in the thick of our trauma-informed care work. We have been mourning the murder of Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old EMT in Louisville, for over 6 months. And this week, as we all know, Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron announced the grand jury's decision in her shooting death. And we learned that regrettably, none of the Louisville Police Department officers involved in that lethal shooting were charged with her death. This year has delivered stark and consistent reminders that institutional racism, implicit and explicit bias are alive and well. Many of us hoped for a different decision. We hoped for justice. And simultaneously, we as a people, as a community, as a nation, continue to fight. We have to continue, I should say, the fight for the justice that Ms. Taylor did not receive. It is extremely hard to find the words that appropriately express the range of emotions that we are all feeling, the depth of our sadness, our collective grief. From my perspective, as I sit here today, cannot really be described. We talk a lot about post-traumatic stress disorder, but we are coping every day with stress and trauma in a way that none of us could even have anticipated. But I do carry hope with me because of the work that you do, Heshima, and you, LaVandis, and Josh and Valerie, who we just met. Because your work is directly connected to our young people, I'm able to carry hope with me, and I hope that that permeates through our organization and everybody that we touch. And thankfully today we are here to celebrate our young people. And it's a really interesting place to sit. Our resolve in the fight for justice on behalf of our young people, especially those that we serve at Chicago Childcare Society. We serve them every day with honor. They deserve our very best work, as you all have described, that support them on their paths, to help them find their voices and use their voices for justice and equality, and to realize their hopes and their dreams. We meet people where they are, and we meet people where they dream. And we want their lives, we want them to have the ability to live their lives without the constant reminder that merely the color of their skin could be perceived as a threat. We want them to have that type of freedom. So I want to shift our conversation to issues around social justice, the Black Lives Matter movement, the racial tensions that we are all navigating, and how organizations like ours are affecting change, and how the work that you do affects the lives of our young people. So we have another video to share that will discuss current issues around social justice and the racial tensions that we're seeing, and how these discriminations are directly affecting our young people.
I think mostly the concerns that I'm hearing now is about like what's happening in the world a little bit more. Black Lives Matter, seeing Black bodies being harmed either by police or in communities. Police interaction is a huge one that I think they all are concerned about. But I think socially, a lot of my students are becoming more mindful of social justice issues because they see it a lot. Yeah, so I think a lot of the questions have just been around why is this happening to us? Why does this continue to happen? I think a lot of times they feel maybe the problem is bigger than what they can impact, so we talk about how to get involved. For our Bridges group, we had them, if they were mayor, how would they address what was going on in the city in terms of like protests, police interaction. So we did a whole group around that and really just give them space to talk about how they feel and to process the feeling, the feelings that come up with seeing a Black man being knelt on his neck, or what does it feel like? Some of this feels like it's not new because a lot of our clients live in at-risk communities. So they have a lot of police interaction and they have seen police brutality and felt what that feels like. And but I think it's affected all of us, right? Seeing it every day, seeing it on the news, seeing it more and more. I don't think for them or for me it's anything new, but it's just the amount, the rate of what you're seeing. We all knew it was happening. So I think just giving them, creating space for them just to talk about how they feel is a huge thing, because it's a traumatic thing. It's a traumatic thing to witness, whether you see it with your own eyes or you see it on video, it's very traumatic. So the most important thing I think is to just create the space for them to process and talk about it.
Kids in KALU asked, what happens, actually in KALU and Bridges, what happens if you're approached by a Caucasian person, and they seem to be a little forceful. And one of the things that I always tell them is, if they're not asking you to do anything to degrade you, if they ask you to move along and their voice is a little strong, just move. Don't do anything to make them react in a negative manner. Keep it pushing, go wherever you're trying to go, and just keep the peace. There's one of the young men who are in the Bridges group that actually went out to protest, and he took pictures of it, and he enjoyed it. And there ended up being an issue that police became a little forceful. And he told me, Mr. Josh, I did what you said. I wasn't part of the problem, I was part of the solution. And what he ended up doing was he told his friends, let's go, it's getting out of hand, let's move around. I don't want to see any of you get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. And they exit stage left, and everything ended up being okay. A lot of my younger students are afraid to walk the streets because they're afraid that they might be approached by police officers or things of that nature. And they can just be walking from their friend's house or walking from the park. So they decide to stay at home. And I tell them, I can't tell you what you can and cannot be afraid of. But if you're doing what you're supposed to do, then everything will be fine. If you're too nervous to step outside, you all have been playing video games. Continue to do that. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Other than that, one thing that a lot of my Bridges kids have an issue with is their appearance. Unfortunately, we live in a time now where you're talked about based on your appearance. So I tell the young men, you can't walk around in today's world with your pants sagging and not think that you're gonna be labeled in a negative way. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the world we live in. And your appearance means everything. And the thing is, the young men that are in my Bridges group, they're all good young men, no issues, but they dress the way that's comfortable for them. And unfortunately, that's not gonna put a positive light in your direction. It's gonna label you in a negative way. So that's what we see.
Social justice issue and inequality, I think forging relationships with the Chicago Police Department is crucial. And the reason why I say it's crucial is because, like echoing the sentiment of Charles Dickerson, he says that the best of time and the worst of time. I think we're dealing with that right now. And I believe that with the cultural sensitivity things that's going on, with the social injustice, the Black Lives Matters movements, inequality, I think that we have to be open to different things, as well as the police stations have to be open to more receiving and not just being judgmental when it comes to our youth. I think we have to have empathy, and I think we have to build that bridge, because it's unfortunate. Growing up, I know that I used to look at police officers, white police officers, as being racist. Now it's a little different. Now, Black young students and youth look at the color blue, police in general, as being racist, discriminating things. So I think that we can address those issues. We can hopefully savor and save the future of our youth, as well as our police force, by trying to merge enough all police, just like all Black people are not there.
Well, I have to say thank you for our team. Thank you to our team for sharing those words. And we all know that it is not easy, not near easy to put into words the real and the personal effects of racism. And we're seeing it play out every single day. So LaVandis, my next question is for you. How has this movement and the protests that have persisted through the summer affected your role as a mentor?
Okay, there's a quote from Albert Einstein, and he says, "Imagination is everything. It is a preview of life come attraction." Police brutality and widespread systematic racism has been going on for quite a while in our history. I read some data and information from CBS News that compiled a list of 164 Black individuals killed
I think we have a, LaVandis, are you here?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, you went out for a minute, but go ahead. Thank you.
I'm sorry, my connection could be kind of, it's saying it's unstable, I'm sorry. But pretty much what I'm saying is that currently right now, we stand on the shoulders of giants that have paved the way for us for generations to come. And these individuals, I know a lot of time people say their name, say their name. I wouldn't do just by trying to name everyone, but my just that I can do and my role as a mentor and how the protest become more invested in preparing all of the youth, regardless of what color they are, so they can understand this systematic racism have to stop. Because with these social injustices, it affects us in discrimination ways, from unequal dispositions of a lot of things, from ageism to homophobia. It messes with everything from dealing with the quality of life, and we want to that they can achieve. We don't want them to look at the future as it's nothing, because they are our future. So my role as a mentor is to stay motivating, stay encouraging, keep uplifting, keep giving them inspiration so that they can understand that they have the opportunities, and we're going to provide them with the resources so that they can achieve whatever their goals are or whatever their endeavors may be.
LaVandis, thank you for that. And you know, I have been saying this for a few decades now. I do wish we had more mentors like you, more Black men in the lives of young people, so that they can see and hear those words that you are sharing. So in addition to fundraising, we're also recruiting mentors. So if there's anybody watching or anyone who's interested in serving in roles similar to LaVandis, please do contact our organization. Heshima, I have a two-part question for you. What types of program enhancements do you recommend to better support our young people during these turbulent times? That's part one. So program enhancements around just overall, you know, the times we're looking at with social justice and the tensions that are raising. Part two is what additional services or resources do you foresee adding to programs specifically because of the pandemic? So we know we have racial issues, and then we know we have issues that underlie the pandemic that we've been talking about for several months. So can you tackle, I know that's a big question, but can you quickly tackle that two-part question for me?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, so, you know, let me first start by saying, you know, in the midst of any turbulent time, for me, you know, I always tell people, take the time you need. But then once you do that, begin to say, okay, what is the takeaway, or what can I find within the circumstances that I'm facing that could support us moving forward. And so, you know, one of the opportunities here, you know, I think in the midst of all that we're facing as it relates to program enhancement, is truly educating our youth on the lack of equality. You know, I heard someone saying in recent times, you know, this is not new, it's just being filmed now, you know. And so I think that, you know, bringing it to the forefront for our youth, but equally teaching them how to, it's a teaching moment, right? So teaching them how to effectively respond and not react to what it is that we are confronted with. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I do believe, you know, in the midst of everything that's happening, this year will force through and breed great leaders. You know, I do believe great leaders will be truly birthed from what it is that we're experiencing right now. And I think it's, you know, definitely an opportunity, and we have that platform to enhance our programming to move in a different direction to a degree as it relates to supporting our youth and understanding what's happening, and equally how they can get involved. So one of the things, you know, this year that I've been discussing with the mentors is what are the opportunities for us to actually support the youth in getting out there, having their voices heard, and helping them to truly believe that they're heard. And also, you know, it's a teaching moment as it relates to that responding and not reacting, you know, piece. As difficult as that may be, you know, for all of us in different moments of these experiences. I feel like I forgot the second part. I'm sorry.
Well, it was more about the pandemic. What do you see, any additional resources or services that you see that you and your team are contemplating around adding because of the pandemic?
Yes, okay. So one of the highlights that has come forth through the pandemic is mental health services for our young people. One of the dilemmas within that is if you have a parent, you know, so we're dealing with a youth that is under 18, and you have a parent, let's just say, who is not necessarily educated or in agreement with mental health services, that can be a bit of a challenge for our youth under 18. But again, you know, just beauty in the challenge. So for me, that says, you know, we also may need to look at moving forward and educating the parents of our youth as it relates to supporting their youth in expressing themselves and dealing with, you know, their feelings, emotions, and just how they're processing these different traumatic events and the pandemic, of course.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One last question around our relationship with education, our school partners. Either LaVandis or Heshima take a stab at this question. but how has the relationship between Chicago Childcare Society and specifically our school partners had to shift? How has that relationship had to shift or change due to the pandemic?
So I'll start. I would say, we're all winging it, right? It's just kind of a day by day, week by week type of thing. And this is one of those things where we just don't have it all figured out. But what I can say is that, and I'll let LaVandis piggyback on this in a minute, our partners have been very supportive of our work and our commitment to continuing to support their students. And so, I think that truly just speaks to how they value, the work that we have done, in the past with their students. True enough, at this moment, it's a little more complex because, we're forced right now to bring forth our programming virtually. But, I'm happy to say that they still find ways to support us in doing so.
I would like to piggyback of what you're saying also, Heshima. You use a key word, you said partnership. I think prior to the pandemic, we as an organization were sometimes looked upon as an organization. I think now the relationship has grew and now they look at us as a partner. And with that being said, we have supported them continually and we will continually do that. We have provided outreach over the summer during the pandemic. Heshima orchestrated for us as the mentors and staff to do well-being checks, phone calls, see how the family is doing, check in on your students, see what's taking place, get a pulse and a feeling of what their mindsets are, how they're coping with, this new pandemic and things, how's it affecting them personally, economically and things. So we have set those things up. We have continued to strive to assist them with their academic, try to be there for them when it comes to helping them understand that you still need an education. We have provided social emotional support for not just our student base, but also for the family. We have tried to list and give them resources in which that they can find different opportunities, from letting them know that you can get free internet services for your household, to provide information and data about the free lunches and different services that's available. So I think that the pandemic has kind of brought us closer together. Of course, the unknown factor is still there. However, I just think that the pandemic has opened up the eyes, the vulnerability of a lot of different issues, but at the same time, we all focus on the same big picture.
Mm-hmm.
I would just add, one more thing, Dara, just, in thinking about our youth and, of course, virtual learning is no comparison to in-person learning. And so, definitely many of our youth are facing the challenge, of shared computers within their homes, not having appropriate Wi-Fi connections. If a parent has to work, one of the things that we're consistently thinking about and concerned about, is that youth still getting or eating, 2 or 3 meals, a day. Through the summer, we work to take meals to some of our clients to ensure that they were having an appropriate meal. And so those also are some of the things that are key things that are really lacking right now for our young people. So if I had a wish list, I would say, okay, every one of our students, would have a computer. We would be making sure that we're possibly at least providing one of the meals, per day for one of our students. So those are some things that I also have at the forefront of my mind.
Mm-hmm. That's really helpful, Heshima, and it really speaks to why we're doing this, right? The consistency of the work that your team does with our young people, the availability of our mentors with mentees, the additional resources that we know are so desperately needed in order for everybody to continue with their lives with any level of productivity. Is all those reasons that you just listed are really why we are doing this live session today, right? So we will definitely be back at 3 o'clock, where Heshima, you will be joined by 3 of our young people, 3 of our program participants. This video will be, the live feed will be up through on Facebook all day today, and we'll continue to update our fundraising goal. But the points that Heshima and LaVandis have made really are the foundation of why we are doing this fundraising campaign. So for anybody who is listening, watching, or sharing, we ask that you go to our website at cccsociety.org and make a donation. Any amount matters because it's for our young people. It's for us to be able to remain a consistent and positive force in their life while so many things are uncertain. So this fundraising campaign is for young people throughout the city of Chicago, specifically on the south side and into the south suburbs. So again, we will be back here today at 3 o'clock. Heshima will be joined by our young people. Stay tuned to our Facebook page, and again, log on to our website to make a donation. And we thank you all for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.